Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Hey guys, welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio. This is Paul Markle, and we are in our studios in Saratoga, Wyoming. And thank you for joining us today. We truly appreciate it. It's the beginning of a brand new week. And joining me, of course, is Jared. Say hello to the folks at home, Jared.
Hello to the folks at home, Jared.
All righty. It's Monday. What are we going to talk about today? We have active killers, reacting or reactionary. We got a SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week today. You're not going to want to miss that question. And, all the goodness that comes along with being a part of Student of the Gun Radio. And we're glad that you made the decision, the positive, active decision to listen to us today. All right, we're going to jump right into our Warrior of the Week. Now, our Warrior of the Week has a question about carry guns. Now, before I have Jared play the Warrior of the Week question, I'm going to tell you this. If you'd like to be the Warrior of the Week, you can. We'll let you. All you have to do is call 682-207-7684. Or if you have the Student of the Gun mobile app, what you can do there is you can just open up your mobile app, and there's a little thing that says call us. It looks like a phone. You tap it, and there you have the Warrior of the Week line. And all you have to do is leave a clear, concise, well thought out question. And if we believe that other people in the audience will benefit from that question, then we will choose you. Now, the big benefit, in addition to hearing your own voice on the radio and running around the house like a crazy person screaming, after you do that, well, you're going to get a free bottle of 9mm plus P. That is the fat burner plus energy formula from our friends at SWAT Fuel. Now, if you are not the Warrior of the Week, or you don't call or what have you, you still can save and you can still be a winner. Go to SWATfuelstore.com. Use the promo code SOTG2015. Now, Jared, tell them what they need to do.
If you are the winner and you hear your voice on the radio in a second, then you need to email info@studentofthegun, info@studentofthegun.com, and send your name, your mailing address, your phone number, and include your email address typed in the body there. Now, make sure that you pay attention to the change in the call to action. Instead of emailing the one that you did before, now you need to email info at studentofthegun.com.
There you go.
Hi, Professor Paul. Hi, Jerry. This is James from Greensboro, North Carolina. I was calling to get y'all's take on a rear-mounted red dot sight on an everyday carry gun, specifically subcompact, as well as what type of red dot would be best. Thanks for all y'all do, and keep up the good work.
Okay. Red dots on carry guns, subcompacts. I'm guessing when he says subcompact, he's probably talking about like your G19 sized gun. And the answer is yes. Now, I'm not going to tell you specifically what you should buy, but I'm going to tell you there's a couple of different options. Obviously, there are the battery-operated options, such as those from Leupold or Trijicon. Now, Trijicon also has a non-battery-operated, an RMR that does not require a battery. Now, the benefit of the battery is that you get a bright red aiming dot all the time, and you can adjust the brightness and so on and so forth. But it has a battery, and batteries can and do die. Now, the good news is today you have technology, you have electronics technology that is decades and decades, I mean, light years almost ahead of what it was 20 or 30 years ago. You should get 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 years of use out of a battery with some of the modern red dot optics. Let's just say you only get one continuous year worth of illumination. That's pretty good if you think about it. If you have to change the battery in your carry gun on the optic once per year, you do it like your smoke detectors. Just change the battery on your birthday every year. Every year, give yourself the gift of a brand new battery. We talked about that for carry ammunition. If you are carrying your super killer death bullets with the depleted uranium and so forth, and they're really super expensive, so you don't practice with them. When should you change them out? And I don't know how long ago it was, Jared. It's been well over a year, hasn't it, since I recommended the change in the ammo?
Yeah, it has been at least a year. Wow, time flies.
It's been way over a year, so I know we got a lot of new people. Well, in addition to changing the batteries on your birthday, I would suggest that if you have the same ammunition, the same, self-defense, that expensive stuff that's in your gun, if you go from one birthday to another and you still have it in there, well, give yourself a gift on your birthday every year. Give yourself the gift of one brand new box of HydroShocks or Golden Sabers or Critical Defense or whatever it is that PDX that you're using as self-defense ammo. Shoot up the old stuff, put the new stuff in, and boom, you're ready to go for another year. Now, why would I recommend a red dot on a carry gun? Well, there's several reasons, obviously. Number one, it gives you a visible aiming dot that you can place on the target. And that's just the difference. So you say, well, I placed the front sight on the target. Yeah, you do. But if you've spent any time using red dot optics, specifically on rifles, a lot of people use them on rifles and they love them. Once they get out and they start using some type of a red dot, whether it's an aim point, EOTech, whatever, on a rifle, they won't even go back because it just seems like Stone Age stuff to go back to iron sights. Well, it's very similar with a pistol. And when you're using a handgun in, the gravest extreme to save your life, you're probably going to have both eyes wide open and you're looking at that potential threat, that thing that's trying to kill you. And the great thing about having a gun with a red dot on it is you see the thing that's a threat. You see that monster that is trying to harm or kill you. You draw your pistol, and next thing you know, there's a bright red dot superimposed on the center of the thing that you're looking at that's trying to kill you. Now you know it's okay to press the trigger. Rinse, lather, repeat. Now, does it take time to get used to using red dots? Yes, obviously it does. But I can tell you, as more and more firearms trainers, especially law enforcement firearms trainers, get into the red dots, and as more companies such as G-Lock and others start making their guns from the factory adaptable. Now, there's been custom guns that competition shooters have put red dots on for, probably going on 30 years now. But the ability to put a red dot easily onto a factory gun without any special customization or gunsmithing or what have you, that's going to bring the red dots into the 21st century for everyday use. Yes, it is a good question, and I recommend it. And I think what you need to do is you need to get out and practice. Now, keep in mind that there are certain things like humidity. One of the Achilles heels, I guess, for a red dot or any kind of optic, especially less expensive optics, something that most people don't understand is built into an expensive optic. They say, oh, well, why should I pay $400 or $500 for that when I can get this one here? This one's only $99 and it's the same thing. Well, it's actually not the same thing. But in addition to having the high-end electronics built into it, you also have lens coatings. Lens coating isn't cheap. And, if you buy a cheap sight, it's made with a cheap lens. It's like buying a scope, the scope off the counter under the little glass counter at Walmart. You buy a rifle scope for $39, or the ones that are in the blister packs hanging up on the pegs. You're like, well, this scope right here, this is a 1x10 variable and it's only $39. It's got to be just as good as that Leupold or that Schmidt and Bender, right?
Or not.
Yeah. Or not anywhere close. It's the components, the lenses, the electronics, and so forth. And that's something that most people don't understand is the lens and the lens coating is an expensive proposition. So if you're going to save your life with something, I wouldn't buy a Chinese knockoff $39, bro, if your life's not worth more than $39.95, I don't know what to tell you. So
it's like, would you buy a pair of glasses that cost $20 without insurance?
Prescription glasses, yeah.
Would you buy a pair of prescription lenses that only cost $20 without insurance? Yeah. I would hope the answer is no, you wouldn't rely on those to see.
No. Well, and are there inexpensive sites that work? Yes, there are inexpensive sites that work. But when it comes to the smaller you make things, whether it's guns or optics or whatever, when you try and make things small, you can make them small and you can make them high quality, or you can make them small and you make them cheap. So
see, size doesn't matter.
And sometimes when you go the opposite, when you're trying to make things small, it's actually more difficult to get it right. But if you're going to put here's the one thing I'm going to tell you to stay away from. There are some mini red dots or some compact little red dot sites that have on-off switches that are on the outside of the body of the optic. It's a manual on-off switch. And what you will find is those little switches will inadvertently get flicked into the off position by either carrying the gun or handling the gun or racking the slide on the gun. If you grab over the top of it, pull it back, what happens is you shut that sight off. And I've seen it happen to other people. And I've tried out, I've used many. I've probably used every kind of mini red dot from every manufacturer that there is. And I can tell you that the ones that have the external on-off switches, it might seem like a really cool, convenient thing, but don't fool yourself into thinking, oh, well, when I draw the gun to save my life, I'll turn the sight on. No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So you want a mini red dot that when you pull that gun out in the gravest extreme, because there's a monster who's trying to hurt you, that the red dot is already there. You don't have to hit any tiny buttons or switches or what have you. So good question, and thank you for asking it. And remember, you're just an email away from a bottle of 9mm plus B free from our friends at SWAT Fuel, because you are the SWAT Fuel Warrior of the Week.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
Everything SOTG. And remember, what did I say last week? I told you, if you're getting into arguments or heated discussions with ignorant friends, family members, coworkers, people that just don't get it, they think they're a gun person, but they say things like reasonable gun control, or they say things like safety. And you're like, well, safety is a good thing. Yeah, I get that. But, well, it's safer if you don't chamber around, and it's safer if you fire warning shots, and it's safer if you load your shotgun with birdshot and rock salt. And it's like, don't have an aneurysm. Don't argue with those people. Let me argue with them. Let me set them straight. And what I want you to do is just send them over to studentofthegun.com. Say, hey, okay. Yeah, you've got it. Yeah. Here's what I want you to do there, buddy. Go to studentofthegun.com. I bet they have something for you. So let us do the arguing for you. You're welcome. That's a public service that we provide. All right, I am carrying a gun right now. I'm carrying one comfortably in probably the most, well, I would say, based on my experience of 30-some years of being a gun carrier, the most comfortable inside of the waistband holster you're ever going to own or buy. And it comes from a little company called Crossbreed Holsters. If you're looking to carry a gun, all the time, securely and comfortably on your body, I'd check out Crossbreed Holsters. I bet you that they've got something in their catalog to help you out. And if you go onto their Facebook page or their website, you can send them a little note, say Student of the Gun sent you. Frog Lube. It's green. It's minty fresh. It is a bio-based firearms lubricant. And it is, in addition to all those things, extreme. I got to be careful throwing my voice out with that deep extreme thing. But you can go to froglube.com and pick it up. Or you can go to our friends at Brownells. You can get it there. Century Arms is the sweetest smelling arms maker in the U.S. of A. And right now, in addition to having the Crossbreed holster on, I have a TP9 SF Elite in that holster, which I carry each and every single day because it is big enough to fight with, but small enough to carry all the time. Check them out at centuryarms.com. Duracoat products they make your life a little bit more pleasant, a little more interesting, and they help you to defeat the one thing that we're constantly after. Life is too short to carry an ugly gun. It just is. So stop carrying an ugly gun and get yourself some Duracoat. Is that simple? You said, Paul, but I don't know where to get Duracoat. Well, you can go to lauerweaponry.com, get it there. Or you can, while you're shopping at Brownells, where you're shopping for ammo and optics and Frog Lube and stuff like that, and live guns, actual genuine guns that you can have shipped to your local FFL, while you're there, shop around on Brownells and you can pick up some Duracoat products. Now, don't forget, they've got the official slightly darker black that was inspired by, your friends at Student of the Gun. So if you'd like to have a gun that is slightly darker black, you can do that just by popping over to Brownells or to Lauer Weaponry. Today's main topic, the primary topic today, is reacting or reactionary. And I teased you guys a little bit with it last week. We mentioned it. We said that we were going to talk about it. And we're going to. This is what's going to happen. But before that, I want to go ahead and play the audio from a recent story. And we discussed it a little bit last week, but it's a good setup for our reacting or reactionary. Jared, if you have that, I think it's a Fox News story. Is that all queued up for the audience?
Yes, it is.
All right, play it, Johnny.
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Brett Baer in Washington. A gunman in Fresno, California, kills 3 this afternoon in a shooting rampage, reportedly yells Allah Akbar as police take him down, and then tells police he hates white people. Police say the suspect, Corey Ali Muhammad, has a history of criminal activity. Let's get right away to this breaking story tonight from Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt, who joins us live from Los Angeles. Hello, Jonathan.
Brett, it all happened within one terrifying minute on the streets of downtown Fresno. 16 rounds fired, in all 3 people killed. The victims, the Fresno police chief saying, all chosen at random by 39-year-old Corey Ali Muhammad, who was quickly confronted by a police officer responding to the shots fired.
Immediately upon that individual scene, the officer, he literally dove onto the ground and was taken into custody. And as he was taken into custody, he yelled out, Ali Akbar.
The Imam of the Islamic Cultural Center of Fresno says Corey Muhammad is not a member of his congregation and he does not recognize him. According to the police, Muhammad also called himself the Black Jesus. The chief said that on Muhammad's Facebook page they found posts in which he made some anti-government statements and said he did not like white people. All 3 of the victims in today's shootings were white men. Police had apparently been searching for Corey Muhammad since last Thursday, when he allegedly shot and killed a security guard at a local Motel 6. They say he has a criminal history involving guns, drugs, false imprisonment, and, quote, terroristic threats. We are told at this point the FBI is not treating this as a terrorism incident. The police chief also said
so here we go. Let's go ahead and dissect this. Here's what we know. We have a violent lunatic who's screaming Aloha snack bar. We find out that he has a lengthy history of criminal behavior. 39 years old, lengthy history of criminal behavior involving guns, terroristic threats, etc. And he singles out white men. I believe that a couple of them, according to the news story, actually were members of a Catholic relief organization. Kills them, murders them. They say this is not terrorism. Really? First things out of it, they're not even, and this report came out the day of the incident. And so without having even conducted a complete and thorough investigation, FBI statement says we're not treating this as a terrorist attack. And the imam of the local, I guess, well, let's just call it a mosque. I'll keep my composure right now. Says he denied him immediately. Well, you're kind of missing the point. It doesn't matter whether the local imam is going to embrace this guy. He obviously is, in some fashion, identifies with the 7th century death cult, the religion of peace, brotherhood, decapitation, mutilation, terrorism, known as Islam. You can't have it both ways. Okay, I'm sorry. You can't have it both ways. You can't have someone running around screaming aloha, snack bar, killing whitey, and then say, well, there's no reason to believe that this has anything to do with Islam. Yeah, because that never has happened before, only about 100,000 times. Now, you say, but Paul, we already know about the story, and in the meantime, we had more Muslim missionaries go on rampage in Paris. We're going to talk about that in detail tomorrow.
You know what it was?
What was it?
Is if we wouldn't have dropped the Moab, then this wouldn't be happening.
Oh, yeah, if we wouldn't have confronted our enemies.
It's all our fault.
What they need to be doing is, I'm probably, I missed out on the story where the leaders of the black community came forward and said, we need to find out what it is that we did to make Corey Ali Muhammad. What did we do to make him angry? How can we alter our lives? How can we change our behavior so that people like Corey Ali Muhammad won't want to kill us? Because we must be doing something wrong. That is the mindset of the psychotic liberal. Remember, liberalism is a mental disease. But let's go ahead and deal with the situation that we have at hand. We identified the situation. So what do we know? We know that the California criminal justice system is so wonderful and so liberal and progressive that we have a violent felon who's been convicted, apparently, of multiple violent felonies, because he's got a long rap sheet. They know that this guy is a violent person who's had, what did they say, terroristic threats, involving guns, and so on and so forth. And you might be asking yourself, as a reasonable person, why isn't this guy in jail? Why was he not currently incarcerated by the state? Why is it that he was out running around and he had the ability? Did he have the freedom to kill these people when he's a known violent felon? I guess that's a good question. But how do we deal with that as a society? How do we address that? Well, we address it. We can either be reactionary, or we can react, or we can prepare. Now, I wanted to put, in today's title, it should have been prepared or reactionary. But when it comes to dealing with people like this, obviously, we don't know that this is going to happen. We don't know that Corey Ali Muhammad is going to walk around and kill us. You're carrying guns, right? When we carry a self-defense firearm, we're carrying a self-defense firearm because we don't know that we're going to be in a gunfight. We aren't anticipating a gunfight. We carry it like for the same reason you have a fire extinguisher in your house or a first aid kit, not because you're planning to have a fire or you're planning to have a first aid emergency. You have it in case. You don't wear your seatbelt in your car because you're planning to slam into another car. And we don't carry guns concealed on our bodies because we are planning to get in gunfights. So when the gunfight presents itself, when the monster presents itself, we are obviously reacting. You are reacting to that stimuli, and the stimuli is the assault. But there's a difference between reacting and being reactionary. Now, I'll give you examples of being reactionary. Installing alarm systems after you've been burgled. People have businesses or homes. They get broken into. Thieves take things away. And then after that happens, they install an alarm system. People go out and they buy guns after they've been assaulted, after they've been raped, after they've been robbed. Businesses are famous for hiring security after they have an incident. They don't do it beforehand. And this is part of the problem with mankind, with modern thinking. I don't know if it's even modern thinking. It might go back hundreds of years as far as we know. But rather than see a potential problem, address the potential problem, or see an existing problem and take steps to deal with that and to prepare ourselves to deal with it, what do? Well, we ignore it and we become reactionary. We wait until something has happened. Then we react to that after it's happened, but that doesn't stop it from happening. It's already happened. These people are already dead. The people in France are already dead. And why is that? We're going to talk about France tomorrow, but we want to talk about today is how are we living our lives and how are we allowing our elected representatives in Congress and the Senate and in our state houses, how are we allowing them or how are we instructing them to prepare to deal with the problems that we know exist? We know that there is a 7th century death cult called Islam that promotes and sponsors lone wolf Muslim missionary attackers to go out and kill us. This isn't conjecture. It's not me being a xenophobe or a racist or whatever you want to throw around, whatever weak-ass label you want to throw around. This is a fact. It is reality. And after each and every one of these attacks, we're treated to the same nonsense. This same idiotic, ridiculous nonsense. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the victims. Really? Your thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the victims? And then what? Then nothing. That's what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to, wait for, a Muslim missionary to kill a bunch of innocent people. And then you go in front of a camera and you say, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of the victims.
Well, that's because the normal people, the people that were not personally affected by the incident, they quickly forget what happened.
It's not that they just quickly forget. It's that they're stuck in this infinite loop. Please, someone tell me exactly what our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims. What that does, A, to actually help, B, to address the problem, and C, to make sure that the problem doesn't happen again. Well, it doesn't, Paul. But it's a nice thing to say. It's nice, and that's what people expect. They expect that you're that niceness, but it's pointless. And why is it that in the year 2017 we still have these monsters running around arbitrarily killing our citizens. Weren't we supposed to address this in 2001, 2, 3, 4, wasn't Homeland Security created to protect the homeland? You're like, well, this Corey Ali Mohammed, we don't know. Well, where he must born in America. I was like, ladies and gentlemen, are we not as a nation just sick to death of being reactionary? After every single one of these incidents, whether it's the Fresno one or this one here, this is the second Fresno killing. What's going on in Fresno? In California, your people are being, good people are being killed by bad people. And your liberal lunatic governors and state senators and attorneys general and all of that, what do they do? What are they doing to protect you? Oh, they're passing gun laws to make sure that no one can get guns. And well, no one or only bad people. Because apparently all the gun laws that Jerry Brown has recently signed in to, they didn't stop Corey Ali Mohammed from killing 3 innocent men on the streets of Fresno. Actually 4, because they're pretty sure he killed that security guard too. What are all those gun laws? And well, that just shows we need more. Please explain to me what good gun laws are when you have someone who you've already captured, who's been in custody, and we know is prone to violence and threats of violence and using guns to hurt and harm people. And instead of keeping them in jail, what does the state do?
Well, we can't keep them in jail because that violates their rights.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't do any good to put them in jail. I mean, that doesn't help anything. It doesn't help anyone. Maybe it would have helped these 3 now deceased people. You want your thoughts and prayers to be with the families of the victims. Maybe you might, when you catch these monsters, you might want to keep them in jail. Or, I got an idea. If they commit capital crimes, then you execute them, you cremate their bodies, and you turn them into fertilizer. How about that for an idea? Or you could do like the wonderful California justice system and you slap them on the hand. They do 50% of the sentence that they were given, and they're right back out on the street killing people again. Reaction or reactionary? Obviously, our government, our leaders, the people who are responsible for keeping you and I safe, whose job it is to protect the people, are not doing a good job. Obviously, I don't even know if it's they can't do it or they don't want to do it. They're not concerned. They couldn't give a rat's fat rear end. But, ladies and gentlemen, the time to be prepared is, well, it's way past. Or what we can do is we can just keep waiting for these things to happen, and then we'll react after. We'll be reactionary. That's what we did after 9/11, didn't we? Yes, we did. The CIA and the FBI, and they did the report. They're like, well, yeah, we kind of knew that these bad people were out there. We kind of knew that Afghanistan was sponsoring terrorism, and we kind of knew that the Taliban was, we knew it. We knew they were there, and we knew who Osama bin Laden was. We knew all about that. But we didn't want to act. Instead, we decided to wait and be reactionary. Now, it's not 100% the Bush administration's fault. Because all during the Clinton administration, they were aware of the Taliban. They were aware of Al-Qaeda. They knew who Osama bin Laden was. They knew all about it, but they didn't want to deal with it because that's hard. It's easier just to pretend that it's not happening. It's easier to wait until after it happens. And then, then after it happens, now we have to do something. You and I both know that the modus operandi for the sheep, the modus operandi for the state, is to be reactionary, to just cruise along like nothing's wrong, and then something goes wrong. We have an incident, we have an issue, we have an attack, and then after the attack, we have to do something. We're going to do something immediately. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. Let's fix it. Let's fix it now. And you and I are sitting there, we're like, well, where have you been? We knew this was wrong years ago. We knew we had a problem years ago. And nobody wanted to address it. Nobody wanted to prepare for it. Nobody wanted to come up with any kind of answers. It's easier just to be reactionary. But then a part of that reactionary methodology is to come up with solutions that don't actually even address the future problem. Like, for instance, we have guys that board airplanes with knives and box cutters and murder the flight crew. And the answer is, let's give them tasers. Remember that when they were going to let's give the flight crews tasers. What? How's that going to stop guys with knives? Just this ridiculous nonsense. Let's armor the flight deck. All right, the cockpit. We're going to put armored doors on all the cockpits. And someone raised their hand and said, "Yeah, but what if we have these dudes with the razors and the box cutters, and they take the head flight attendant and they take her and they push her face up against the little window there, and they tell the pilot, unlock the door, I'm going to kill her." And the pilot says, "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin." And then they slice her throat, throw her on the ground. And they go get another one, put him up against the window and say, "Open the door, I'm going to kill him." So what good does a armored cockpit door do? And you say, well, the pilot, they're going to be hardcore and they'll just let the whole entire crew die before they unlock the door. No, they won't. They'll unlock the door. That's when they had the armed pilots, the relatively short-lived period of the armed flight deck officers, the flight deck officers program. And all the liberals were against it. Why? Because, you can't allow the pilot to have a gun. Because this is the crazy. You remember that, Jared?
Yeah.
When they were fighting against allowing pilots to be armed because
he doesn't have people's lives in his hand already. So I don't understand why you would want to give a pilot a gun.
Yeah, they said, the pilot should be flying a plane, not shooting, blah, blah, blah. And do you know how 9/11 went down? They killed the pilots, and then they took over the aircraft.
Well, yeah, but then if the pilot's got a gun, it'll put the passengers' lives in danger. Yeah,
that's another thing. It's you don't know. We can't trust the pilot. What if the pilot is a wacko?
He's flying a plane.
He
could crash.
All he has to do is, I can't mimic it on the radio, but imagine you're holding the yoke and you just push it out in front of you. I was talking, who was I talking to? It was one of my good friends. Maybe it was Hackathorn or somebody, but they're like, if the pilot wanted to kill us all, he would just do this and he would put us all into the ground. So he doesn't need it. The pilot doesn't need a gun to kill everyone on the plane. But it's this reactionary nonsense. And we have to ask ourselves, you have to ask yourself as a citizen, are you going to be prepared to act, or are you willing to lump yourself in with all the reactionary nonsense that's going on in the world? And Corey Ali Mohammed is not the first, and he's certainly not going to be the last to scream Aloha snack bar in the process of murdering innocent people. It's going to keep happening. Because why? Because all we have applied to the problem is half measures and security theater. We haven't done anything serious. We just keep playing this same insane game over and over and over again. Ladies and gentlemen, we're 16 years into the global war on terror. Someone explain to me how we're any closer to the end or winning the global war on terror than we were in 2001 or 2002. Well, they've essentially taken over Europe.
We are dropping bombs now, though.
Oh, we are dropping bombs now. And thank the Lord for November 2016. But we still have people in our Congress, in our Senate, in our federal bureaucracies that rather than address the problem head on, they want to apply excuses, apologies, and half measures. They're still waiting. We have governors that are they're telling the people that they need more of these psychotic monsters in their state. And when one of these psychotic monsters goes out and slaughters their citizens, what is their reaction? What's to disarm you? Remember, the latest round of California gun control and all this AR-15, California legal banning this and banning that all stemmed out of two Muslim missionaries walking into their workplace and slaughtering their innocent Christian coworkers. And so what was the reaction to that? Oh, well, it was to decide that you, the law-abiding citizen, can't be trusted. Did they address the death cult of Islam and the poison that it is to the free world? No, we're just going to pretend that didn't even happen. The real culprit is the AR-15. The real culprit is gun ownership in America. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I do know what to tell you. I'm telling you, if you're listening to my voice right now, you want to get as far away from these reactionary people as humanly possible. You want to be prepared to act. And if you're living in an area where they force you to be disarmed, they force you into slavery, they force you into essentially victim status, you can stay there and you can just complain on Facebook about how it's not fair and how you don't want to be a victim and you don't want to be in it that way, but you don't understand. They make you. You can't. You can embrace the I can't mentality, or you can do something about it. But ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be another attack probably before the end of the week. There'll be another Muslim missionary attack on free people of the world. And you can be part of the reactionary crew, or you can be prepared and act when the time is right. It's up to you. And because I know a lot of you guys, you want me to address these things as individual, case by case basis, but the names are just different. The behavior is the same, and it's not going to stop until the adults take charge of the country, the entire country, every single state, every single city, because unfortunately that's not the case right now. We're making progress. I know we are. But in the meantime, how many more innocent American citizens have to die, have to be slaughtered by these psychotic monsters before we can take control of our country? I think that's about all I have to say. What do you think, Jared? Is that about all I have to say?
I think that's probably not all you have to say, but we can go ahead and end the show for today.
I think that's all I have to say for today.
Yeah.
All right. Now, tomorrow we had yet another ISIS-inspired ISIS claim. They claimed responsibility almost immediately for the attack in Paris. And I'm going to remind you guys tomorrow why France is still in the position that France is in. I know it's been a while, and a lot of people in the world have the attention span of houseflies, but we're going to deal with it. And we also have a quiet time when I've got a brand new recommended reading for you. So that's going to be tomorrow on Tuesday's show, Student of the Gun Radio. Until then, well, you want to remember that you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.